Three Grots in a Vox is intended for a mature audience. This means there will be crude language and discussions of adult themes, especially if we're talking about tactical marines or Gabriel Seth. Viewer discretion is not only advised but encouraged. All opinions are our own and often given for humorous purposes. Any advice is given largely for entertainment purposes and would probably be ignored. But if you do learn something useful, count it as a win.
Hello and welcome to an episode of Three Grots in a Vox, where Tony was about to say something and I completely cut him off by starting doing this intro thing. But that's okay, because Tony's not drunk at all. He's been working hard, like a hard-working person, and probably has a snazzy beer handy.
I wish that I had sparkling water.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
That reminds me of that comment that one guy wrote on our podcast that said we're the worst podcast ever because we all just talk over each other.
Oh, I remember that. That was funny. Yeah, we do. And we're not going to stop now. We've been doing it for, 3 years?
It's a sign of the rapport we have with each other. Yeah, absolutely, that we can do this and not get too pissy at each
Did
other.
you like my thumbnail?
I did.
Yeah? I
brought
brought back the Golden Captain since he's kind of had a resurgence
Oh, this
with
is
the
your
Liberator
thumbnail,
assault group.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't make this one. In fact, I did make a different one, and then I saw that John had made one as well and thought, oh, it was John's.
We'll just use that, yeah. John's are always better. I'm looking at those Terminators. I remember the old Space Hulk Terminators that came and looked like those aliens out of the start of the Fifth Element when they walked.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
That was the original Terminator. Look, do you want to know some ridiculous nerdy trivia that people, the real nerds are going to get?
John.
Tell us.
You see in a lot of places that those Terminators, the old ones that look like Fifth Element aliens, people call them Saturnine Terminators.
Oh, yeah.
And that's not actually true. They're not Saturnine Terminators. We've never actually seen a picture of the Saturnine Terminators. They were just what became your regular Terminators.
Right.
They were just the original version of them. But because they're different and there is mention in the fluff of Saturnine, a lot of people have associated the two things. There's nothing actually that's ever said that. That's just an entirely fan fiction thing to say that's what they are.
All right.
It's just the sort of nerdy thing people say, and it gets sort of spread along. They're not Saturnine. They're just Terminators. We've never seen the Saturnine. Only Cataphracti, Tartarus, and Indomitus. And the original ones were just the original Indomitus Terminators.
I just
They
remember they had
just looked a bit weird.
Stormbolters that you had a little thing to put over the top of the Stormbolters, and that turned them into the Heavy Flamer. That was.
It was cool, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the old models. They improved and they became these ones.
Mhm.
And then they improved from there and became the metal ones that we like. And then they improved from there and became plastic kit, which was a very good kit. I've still got plenty of those. And then it's improved from there and become the new plastic kit, which is an even better kit.
Which are, to be fair, fucking awesome models. So they're really
Brilliant
good
models. But then, like I say, to be honest, the previous ones, apart from being a little bit short against the new Primaris, great kit.
Yeah.
Lots of options, easy to build, not too bad with the mold lines and that. They just look good, and they were old. They're just too short, which is why they needed replacing.
Question
Go on.
about this photo.
Yes.
Have you ever been able to arm a bayonet to your death company?
Yes.
Because that's what that looks like, right?
Well,
What?
technically, they all
On the
come with a close combat weapon, right?
Yeah, they do.
There you go.
Fixed bayonets.
As far as I know, because I don't think you could. You might have been able to in Rogue Trader. I can't remember. I've got my rule book, but I'm not going to go and find that and check now.
Tell you what, next time you run your death company with bolters on foot, stick some bayonets on the end of them. There you go.
Stick the
you,
old
you get
combat
the
knives in
bayonets
them.
in Horus Heresy, don't you?
Yeah, that's true.
You get the chain bayonets, the regular bayonets. But as far as I know, in 40k, and I could be wrong on this, so because I'm not going to get my rulebook out, I'm just remembering things. The only bayonets that you could put in 40k were the Sisters of Battle could mount bayonets, and that had a profile.
And that's going back
But
a
I think they're the
long
only
time.
army that had 40k bayonets.
As in a named piece of
And that is
wood.
it was sorry, you could attach it onto the bottom. So it was a chain bayonet. They could add them to their bolters, and they had a profile for that in previous editions of 40k.
Sure, cool. I mean, there's
So-
that Gears of Wars guy who's got a gun with a chainsaw bayonet on it as well, isn't it?
True.
Yeah, of course. But I'm just talking 40k. That was what the question was.
Exactly.
So
Anyway.
tell us what we're here to talk about tonight, Tony.
So what we are here to talk about today is the Liberator Assault Group. Now, this is what the Sons of Sanguinius became, and we thought it'd be fun to just do a little bit of a. I'm going to get started with the Liberator Assault Group. I want to collect some Blood Angels or just something that fits in the Liberator Assault Group these days. And how could I get started? So I thought we'd start off with just a quick reminder of what the Liberator Assault Group is.
Before we do, it is a popular question that people get asking all the time on the Discord and on Facebook and all these sorts of things, which is, I'm getting started with Blood Angels. What do I want to get started with? Where do I take the army with to grow from having got this box as starter point? So this is to take on with that, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other thing is, it's become a lot harder in some ways. In the older editions, you had Blood Angels. But now we don't have that with the detachment system. Well, if you want to start a Liberator Assault Group army, that's going to look very different from a Angelic Host army or whatever the Black Rage one is, or a Gladius one, or a Stormlance one. They're all going to look very, very different. So rather than saying, right, this is getting started with Blood Angels, 3 ways we can get started with Blood Angels, this is 3 ways you can get started with this specific detachment. And I think although we have there are unique Blood Angels units in here, you can substitute them out for other things if you wanted to run Ultramarines or Space Wolves or any other.
Yeah, you wouldn't be able to put Bobby Gillen or Ragnar in or anything because.
But in this kind of detachment.
Yeah.
So the detachment rule then, the Red Thirst. Each time an Adeptus Astartes unit from your army is selected to fight, if that unit made a charge move this turn, until the end of the phase, add 1 to the attacks and 2 to the strength characteristic of melee weapons equipped by models in this unit. In that unit, it's a nice, straightforward, simple thing. If you charge, you get an extra attack and you get 2 more points of strength. It's simple, it's straightforward, and it's just a flat damage boost to melee damage when you attack things. And it suits my lack of guile or brains down to the ground, really.
It's worth saying as well.
About this is a complex.
Yeah, I suppose one thing to say is worth mentioning that if you do heroic intervene, you get this bonus as well. Because when you make a heroic intervention, you will be making that charge move. You're just not going to get the fight first component from the heroic intervention part.
And the other side of that also is if you get into combat in any other way, like, for example, through the Miraculous Saviour on the Sangrador, you don't get this.
Because you don't make a charge move.
Because you haven't made a charge move. So you've got to be a little bit careful with that. So, without further ado, let's make a start and look at John, your list.
Ooh.
So you've just gone straight in there at 2,000 points of stuff.
Yeah, I felt really bad because I guess I realised afterwards
that you've completely misunderstood the concept of what we were trying to do here. Okay.
You were going to build the list in 1,000 points first.
Yeah.
And then build it into 2,000 points. So hey, stick around if you'd like to get that part of the video, because that's what we were supposed to be doing. It's almost like I cheated in my homework. I think what happened was I got overly excited. I said to you guys that we were going to do a list that had a lot of transports. I remember the video game from the 1990s called Transport Tycoon. I named the list, and then I thought, right, how are we going to do this? 3 impulsor transports. May as well start there. But then there is 3 different units that I like in the impulsor, and I can't choose between them. One is a captain with an assault intercessor squad. Another is a captain with a company hero squad. Mm-hmm. Another is a chaplain with the fight first. With the Blade Guard, so basically we've got 3 impulsors, all with like really, really strong units inside them. And then I'm really on the Ballistus Dreadnoughts at the moment, so and one thing that I like to do with this list as well is I think everything in this list is basically a Primaris unit. So if you're not familiar with what's happened recently, is all the Firstborn stuff has been getting discontinued. So everything in this list is essentially a new model or has new models. So if you buy it, you should be safe. Like none of these models are going to.
Talking about that because I have to say now there is no Vindicator in this list. I love my Vindicator; it's my favourite fire support tank. It's not in this because it's first one, and I'm worried it will disappear for next edition.
Yeah, and if you're investing in models for a new army, you don't want the risk that they're going to get squatted in the 2 years by GW.
This is something that if we went out and bought from scratch, don't have anything, I wouldn't recommend spending 50 odd quid on these as much as I love them because they might not be here next edition.
Yeah.
So my thought was get those 3 transports. The 3 transports give you a lot of play. I put in 3 super cheap dreadnoughts. The Ballistus Dreadnought is the cheapest dreadnought, and it brings you a bunch of las cannons, a bunch of high-strength missiles.
Just quickly, when you say the transports give you a lot of play, what sort of stuff do you mean by that in your experience?
Well, I mean they protect your units inside for sure. In that I put a shield dome on every transport to give it that 5+ invulnerable save. I think the impulsor moves 12 inches and then you can advance it. So typically the play is in turn 1 you advance all because the repulsors only have like bolters on them. Yeah, they got stubber as well. Arguably the
light arms fire. Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, you're just going to advance all 3 transports into positions that give you play in turn 2. And in turn 2, each transport has a very powerful melee squad that can disembark, which means you move 3 when you disembark. Then you move your normal 6, because your Blood Angels now you can advance and charge, and then you can charge.
One of them. You can't do that to all 3 units. You can only do that to 1 unit at a time with a stratagem.
Correct. So I guess the play would be to maybe disembark from maybe 2 out of the 3 transports, use your advance and charge on one squad, use a regular charge on another squad, so your opponent can't really get to your squishy units without blowing up those transports. And impulsors are really nice for hiding behind hiding behind terrain because they're not very tall at all. So it's very easy.
Sorry, what's the OC on an impulsor?
2. It's not the greatest, but it's not the worst either. And then I guess once they've dumped off their load, so to speak, then I would just start using those impulsors to do actions or to do secondaries, because they've still got 11 wounds, they've still got 3+ save, they've got toughness 9, so they're not for 80 points. They're kind of hard to kill. You know, like if you compare them to like 80 points of regular Marines, that's a lot easier to kill.
You can block up some lanes and move block things, that sort of stuff as well.
Yeah, and I guess. Yeah, so I think I actually kind of want to play this list. This list only has 15 jump marines, which are usually a staple of Blood Angels, in that I get 2 units of jump intercessors and 5 death company with jump packs, and the thought behind them was to just give me some jump stuff. Because the jump intercessors can move very quick, they can contest objectives. I put Mephiston in there as well, because I do think that this list was purposely decided as like a more on-foot list. And because we have 2 impulsors there, there's actually the 2 impulsors that aren't full. Mephiston could easily jump in or out of any of those transports to get across the board. And then I think I would put my 5 Terminators with the Librarian as my reserves, and I'd bring them in with Teleport Strike, probably behind enemy lines, just to try and cause some havoc, separate enemy forces, something like that. So this is a million miles from maybe what you might see as like a standard meta Blood Angels list with jump packs and stuff like that. But I actually think a list like this could actually be very strong if you break it down to how many different units that you're going to have in the list. You know, you have a lot of units here, right? Because you've got the 3 impulsors with the 3 inside, then you're adding Mephiston, so it would be 4. The Terminators would be 5. The Outriders, the 2 jump intercessors, the Death Company are up at 10, and then 3 Ballistus Dreadnoughts. So you've got 13 different units there. I think that's fairly high. Like, I've seen a few people running Blood Angels lists 2,000 points with like 9 units. You know, like there's a very big temptation with Blood Angels to like make these 400 point death balls, like a character plus 10 Death Company, a character plus 6 Angry Guard. So when you start doing that,
I mean, right, yeah,
it's good. Don't get me wrong, it's good. But if you're trying to, you know, if you're needing units all over the board for secondaries, then there is something to be said about this list actually does that part of the game really well, just because lots of cheap little units. That's always been a tactic, right? Like those minimum size units.
Yeah. MSU's been a tactic as long as 40k has, and I'm sure it still will be going forward.
This is a very me list.
You list.
Yeah, this is the sort of thing that I like playing with. Lots of smaller, cheaper units, quite balanced.
Terminators. I love Terminators.
Do you have anything for it, John? Could you give it a go on a Wednesday night game?
I do not have a 3rd Ballistus Dreadnought, and I just purchased my 3rd Impulsor, so it's on the sprue. But I've got everything else. So I think 3 Impulsors is actually gonna. I think it's gonna surprise some people in the meta, because I think at 80 points it can be obnoxious for Blood Angels.
I think they're a bargain at 80 points. I really do.
I really think that as well.
Especially now they can hold 7.
80 points, 50 quid though.
Become good, because the whole of 9th edition they were shite, and it was because they could only hold 6 models.
Yeah.
50 quid a tank for 80 points is always a bit.
That's
And you can have
memory,
6 of them, right? They are dedicated transports, so you could run 6. I think 3 impulsors, like, it is a very cheap amount of points for what it actually brings. You know, that's like 33 wounds with a 5-up invan and toughness 9 for like 240 points. You compare that to a Land Raider, it's more than double the wounds. Yeah, you have to give up las cannons, but I think it gives you such good board presence. Yeah, I like it a lot.
Awesome.
I like it.
If you had to break it down into the first half,
Mm.
say just roughly 1,000 points, what do you think you'd break it down into? Just roughly.
I think that probably the way I would play this in 1,000 points is probably lose the ranged firepower. So try and hold on to probably 2 of the impulsors and 2 of the squads inside. Keep a couple of units of jump intercessors. I think they're amazing. I know they went up 9 points or 10 points. Sorry. I think they are still amazing. So I'd probably give up the dreadnoughts. You know, like keep the terminators, keep 2 impulsors, keep the jump intercessors, and I think that the dreadnoughts benefit more on the bigger table size, right? Because they've got 48-inch range, so you can keep them out of enemy range in some cases and just pepper them for the entire game. And if you could pull that off, you know, like imagine you're playing against knights or something that have all those like 24-inch melta guns. If you manage to keep those 3 ballistic dreadnoughts out of their 24-inch range for the whole game, you know, for like what is it, less than 400 points, you'd be getting the equivalent of about 30 las cannons at them or something over the course of the game. It's a crazy amount of firepower with no return. It's very valuable.
Cool.
I like it. Let's move it on.
All right.
Let's do something a bit more.
So, Mark's list.
Bit more Blood Angels.
A bit more
perhaps.
Jump Assault, right? Because that's what Blood Angels are about.
Oh, very much Jump Assault. Here we go. So this was built on the premise of being Jump Assaulty Death, and starting with the Combat Patrol. So the Combat Patrol are the ones that have got their size marked in red on the left-hand side with the first 1,000 points.
Oh,
and then
cool.
on the right-hand side, you've got what I have added in to expand it out from 1,000 to 2,000 points. Excuse me. The other colours are there for what goes with each other units in terms of leaders and so forth, just for ease of reference. I have cheated a little bit in that the Assault Intercessors with jump packs in the left-hand side, they don't actually come in the Combat Patrol as jump pack intercessors. So what I've done there is I'm assuming that I would get 10 separate jump packs to plug onto the Assault Intercessors and make them Assault Intercessors with jump packs instead, because I think they're going to be a lot more useful than in that regard. So you've got your brick of 6 Sandguard to go with a captain. Oh, get an 11th jump pack to put on the captain as well, because captain with jump pack goes with Sandguard. I figured is going to be the best use of the models you get with this stuff. That's your Combat Patrol, which is about 500 points there or thereabouts, give or take. On top of that, Infiltrators are always good backfield unit that I really like taking in almost every competitive army that I run. Their ability to screen things out and hold the backfield is very, very useful. It also overrides abilities that say you can come in deep strike within 9 inches of stuff like Inceptors can. They can come in like close to 3 inches or something, and an Infiltrator's bubble overrides that, which is always really, really good. Oh, excuse me. 5 Death Company with jump packs, because if you're running Blood Angels, then Death Company is a special source in the same way that Sanguinary Guard are. Whether you buy them as intercessors and just get some jump packs on the cheap, or however you want to buy them and equip them, is totally up to you. Having them led by a chaplain with jump pack rather than Astarath, because it's a little bit more points efficient to get them that way. And this worked out to be much more of a sort of MSU style list in writing than I had initially intended, so I kind of leaned into that a little bit. John, you've sold me on the idea of Outriders recently, so 2 units of 3 Outriders. They are my fast-moving units to speed out quickly, sit on objectives, be minorly annoying to deal with, and I can then countercharge with Sandguard, Death Company, Assault Intercessors, and try and kill whatever attacks the Outriders on the objectives that they're sat on, and that's the first 1,000 points.
Do you know what I found as well is Outriders seem to have everybody confused, right? They're only 26. Like if you divide 80 by 3, it's like 26 points per model. So that's it's a 4 wound toughness 5, which is quite good for 26 points, right?
Yeah.
And people always go after them, like they see them out there and they go after them hard. And I'm looking at my list going, Sangreguard do a lot of damage, Assault Intercessors do a lot of damage, Outriders don't do a lot of damage, but everybody sees those big bases probably and goes, oh, that looks like nasty Death Company with chainswords on bikes.
Yeah.
We should kill them. So they always draw fire. And at 80 points, like if that's the unit I lose in turn 1, I'm like rubbing my hands in glee. I'm like,
absolutely.
okay.
And to be fair to them as well, they do a lot of attacks, and even on the charge with the Liberator Assault Group bonus with +1 charge and +2 strength, that's not nothing.
No, they'll pick up a squad of like Eldar, easy enough.
Quite happily.
So I'm glad someone else is finally coming on board with Outriders. I like them.
Yeah, I do agree.
Bike's always nice. They're a little bit faster than the Assault Intercessors with jump packs, but the Assault Intercessors with jump packs are infantry, so they can therefore move freely through terrain, whereas Outriders have to go around it. So there's a little bit of give and take there, which is fine. Expanding it out to 2k, there's an additional 5 Death Company with jump packs in there. The points cost is only 110 compared to 130 because I would add those 5 onto the existing 5 to make a single unit of 10 and join that up with the Chaplain. And given the Icon of the Angel enhancement specifically, because I had 20 points left at the end. And the way I figure it is, if I charge a Death Company unit into something and attack it, and I'm left with a couple of models left or whatever, and then they want to fall back and try and shoot my Death Company to death, which they probably will, the Icon of the Angel makes that much more awkward for them to do so, because they've now got to risk losing half the unit that they're going to be disengaging with. 5 more models of Assault Intercessors with jump packs just to round out that MSU jumping around being annoying kind of thing. 2 units of 5 scouts for the objective stuff. We've got some long-range firepower in the 2 Gladiator Lancers, which should be able to hide behind stuff, poke their noses out, and delete something reasonably easily because they are anti-armor firepower par excellence. I love adding a Phobos Librarian into the Infiltrators because, as well as the 12-inch denial of deep strike, you can't shoot at them unless you're really close either. So they can just sit in the backfield, strung out in a massive line of 6 models with 2 inches between them, having a huge bubble of deep strike denial across your backfield, and your opponent can't shoot them. Love it. It's just really funny. I like it. The Interceptors round it out with some mid-range firepower in there to bridge the gap between what the Gladiators do and the low anti-infantry firepower that basically everything else in the army has. Jump around being annoying, score objectives just like the Scouts do, and put a little bit of firepower into stuff. There we go.
Nice.
I could actually see myself running this. I've got myself kind of interested in doing this now.
Yeah, I think it's a solid army. I
think there's a lot to like, right? Like with the 2 Outriders and the 3 units of jump assault packs and the 2 units of scouts, you have a crazy amount of units that can actually score actions. You have a very good number of units in here as well, like with it's like probably actually more than my transport list we just looked at. You do have 2 big blobs, I guess, the Sangreguard blob and the Death Company blob, but they are a little bit cheaper than normal.
Given a choice, I would rather run Asterath with the Death Company for the dev wounds he gives them, and Dante with the Sanguinary Guard because he slaps that a little bit more. But this is aimed more as a getting started army with as many units as possible. So going a little bit more value on the characters attached to them just felt like the right choice to make, really.
Yeah, and I guess anyone that's getting started, that would be an easy 2 picks beyond this list, right? If you pick up Dante, you pick up Asterath, you could start, you could lose a unit
Maybe
of scouts,
drop a
probably.
unit of scouts, or and tweak it. Absolutely.
Yeah. The Phobos Librarian is my only question. Like, do you ever find he gets in combat, or do you just find he's annoying because they can't shoot him?
I like the idea of castling my backfield, and the Phobos Libby, along with the Infiltrators, really allows me to do that. Because stringing them all out in a line with maximum coherency distance between each model has their area of deep strike denial covering a vast quantity of my backfield.
Yeah, and then it just they can't be shot without.
Yeah,
it's just they can't be shot within 12. Is that right?
They can't be shot within. It's either 12 or 18. But it also makes it really awkward for my opponent to bring on strategic reserves or anything in the backfield to score any of the random annoying objective cards that they might draw throughout the game.
Yeah. I've never tried the Phobos Librarian yet.
I mean, obviously he bumps the cost of the unit up from 100 to 170, which is not nothing, but I think it's worth it for the benefit you get of that huge castle area and not being able to be dealt with unless you get close up and personal with me. Oh, and hey, there's some Sangard and Death Company. You want to have some words with you if you're going to be doing something like that.
So, it's 12 inches that you can't deep strike within. So does the Phobos Librarian synergize with that? Is it like...
Oh, because he's part of the unit, he gains that ability as well. Yeah.
No, I get that, but like his ability is... While models in leading a unit have the stealth ability, they cannot be targeted. So even if they drop 12 inches away, they have to be more than 12 inches away, so they can't even shoot the unit if they try and deep strike into... Yeah, that's pretty clever, actually.
Yeah, I like it.
I guess he probably buffs their combat a little bit as well, and...
A little bit. His psychic shooting ability is not nothing. It's all right.
It's D6 attacks with potential dev wounds? Yeah, it's actually not too bad, is it?
Yeah.
He's got similar psychic to the Librarian and Terminator armor, which sometimes can swing pretty high, actually.
Yeah.
Cool. I like it. I think I would play something similar. I've actually just bought a second Lancer just to be prepared for the Firstborn tanks going away. Again, there's nothing in this list that's Firstborn at all.
Yes, that was another conscious choice as well. I'd love to put Vindicators in for the same reason Tony was saying, but I really can't justify it when GW are busy squatting all the cool stuff that we've had for many years in order to try and get you to buy the new stuff.
So if you buy this stuff, it'll be good for about 15 years.
In theory.
I think that, hopefully.
Yeah. No guarantees, but nothing in here is on the squat list.
There's nothing in here that's more than about, 5 years old, 6 years old, something like
exactly.
that?
Yeah.
So, right. Okay, let's move on. And I've just realised there's a mistake, so you're going to have to vamp for a minute, Mark. Keep talking. I've just got to fix something.
Vamping. What are we vamping? I like vamps.
What? As in, I mean, we all collect blood angels, so let's be honest, we all like vamps, don't we?
That's true. One of my friends once called them Twilight Space Angel Vampires, which is why when I lost the bet against him for playing against his Tyranid army, he made me agree in perpetuity to paint all the shoulder pads of my Death Company in glitter, just like the Twilight Vampires glitter in Daylight. So, yeah, I've got to do that as well. Shit, I forgot about that. I'm going to have to do that on my Death Company if this doubles down. Oh, well. There we go.
You do it to this day?
Yeah, I'm going to honour my word. Come on. It's cool. People see it and go, well, why exactly do your Death Company have glittery shoulders, Mark? I get to tell the story about his Tyranid Bio-Titan just, murdered the crap out of my Storm Raven. And, yeah, it was a fun game. I miss it.
I've been enjoying Space Marine 2.
I've picked it up, but I've loaded it up. I haven't played it. I've been playing a little bit more Dragon Age Veilguard over the last week since that came out. But I've also been busy with Star Wars and getting back into learning how Warhammer actually works after a 6-month break. So Space Marine 2 is on my sideboard, but has not yet been played because I kind of want to put some time into it and dedicate it rather than just touch it and not play.
Did
for a short period.
Do you think the Storm Raven will survive?
I don't know that it will because
11th edition, or do you think there's any?
I've never painted one. I've got one, but I've not painted it yet, and I would like to paint it and use it, but I'm just not
flyers
sure
in general are just on GW's shit list, aren't they?
They seem to be because I used to quite like the Storm Talon, but it's just so many points.
Yeah.
Not really. if it was 20 points less, I think it'd be quite a good unit because of the hover and the rest of it.
And the guns on it just have shit stats as well.
They are now.
Like the twin linked
for the cost, for 170 odd points or whatever.
Yeah. But as hovering gunships, they're perfect for the kind of style of game that
exactly.
40k is, as opposed to the fast-moving Xiphon Interceptor, which had absolutely no reason being built as a 40k scale model at all, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, it does. Horus Heresy.
No, you've got a ground battle. Why have you got a fast-moving air-to-aircraft interceptor level plane?
Aircraft.
To be fair, it's a pretty model.
And it's a wicked model.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So my list is a bit different again, and I've gone very much because I'm old school. I am, and I've sort of tried to keep that feel, even though I've built this all out of Primaris units.
Mm-hmm.
So this is my kind of 1,000 points ish. And it's going to cost about, because I did cost this up. So I thought, if you're getting started, you might want to know how much it is. Yeah. So if you want to cost up this 1,000 point list, it costs you about 289 quid. Now, nobody's going to spend 289 quid on this because things like assault interceptor jump packs, don't buy the 5-man unit from GW. No. Either get some regular assault intercessors and buy some jump packs, or I really like the 10-man Horus Heresy assault marine squad.
Totally agree. Which comes with the right size base as well, so you don't need to mess around with that.
Which is a lot cheaper and saves you a few quid there.
Yeah.
And then you can also start looking at things like Element Games. We have an affiliate link. Mm-hmm. And things like that to knock another sort of 10, 15, 20% off. Looking around on eBay, you can get these things a little bit cheaper as well. The Scout Squad, you can look at the old Scouts. Don't need to buy the new ones. Look at some of the old models. They're still right.
Yeah.
And things like that. They're still valid.
There's a lot of cheap ballistas off eBay from people who bought the big box
the prices shot up on those though.
Have they? Well, they started.
Yeah, they were about 20, 25 quid a pop, but they're starting to, because you haven't been able to get the Leviathan box for a while, they've gone up a bit.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough.
So I've started off with a chaplain in Terminator armor. I really like his +1 to wound rule.
Yep.
When you put that with the Sons of Sanguinius, a Liberator Assault Group, +2 strength on your Terminators, because that means you've got strength 10 Terminators with +1 to wound. So they're wounding anything in the game on a 4-up. Mm-hmm. And a lot of even proper tanks on a 3-up in melee. Yeah, I think that's quite powerful. They get a decent number of attacks. They're quite hard to deal with. And 170 points for unit Terminators these days. They're fairly cheap. And they've got a decent amount of sort of anti-infantry, screen clearing, chaff firepower as well.
Can I ask a question? Did he just get a standalone release, did he? Or did he come in any box?
Who?
The chaplain in the Terminator armor.
They did a new kind of model for him that come out at the same sort of time as the new Terminators.
It caught a lot of flack for looking a bit weird, but they definitely released him separately.
Yeah,
he wasn't in Leviathan though, right?
He was not. No, that's
not in Leviathan, no. But he came out just afterwards because I haven't got the new one. I'm using the limited edition one they did.
Oh, yeah, I wanted that one, but I never managed to get hold of that one. Yeah,
which I just think is a much better looking model.
I totally agree.
So anyway, so that's what I've started off with. I've got a nice core of Terminators. They're hard to deal with. They can teleport in with rapid ingress, and they've got a bit of a punch to them. Mm-hmm. I've brought Mephiston because he's 125 point distraction Carnifex. Mm-hmm. People getting started want to know what I mean by that. What I mean by that is he's a really annoying unit to deal with. He punches quite hard, although very swingy, which means he can punch very, very hard, but he might not. But your opponent can't always risk that. And he takes an awful lot of firepower to bring down. He's got fights first, so you can't just charge him and get rid of him because he'll potentially just kill the unit that charged him before they get to attack him. Mm-hmm. And he takes a bit to shoot down as well. He's also a single guy on a single little base, so you can hide him very easily. So I think he's well worth 125 points, even if he doesn't kill very much, just because he's an annoyance. I've brought a unit heavy intercessors. I quite like the models. I quite like the fact that they're fairly tough. And if you stick them on an objective, they can be quite obnoxious to shift for only 90 points or 95 points.
Yep.
We haven't really been seeing many in the competitive game lately, but I'm not entirely sure why. They don't make the best use of Liberator Assault Group, but they're not slouches. They'll kill light infantry off fairly well, and they're not going to take any damage back.
And being battle line as well, they have synergies with a lot of the missions and mission rules.
Yeah, and I think that. So I really wanted a unit of battle line, and that's the one I've gone with for that reason. So you've got that bit of mission. I'm trying to be as kind of flexible as I can here. I've brought the 2 units with assault intercessor jump packs. They're just great for us. They're a bit overcosted for some of the other chapters at the moment, but for us, yeah, they're well worth it. We were running assault squads for a long time, and this is basically still the same slot.
Yeah,
punch above their weight, good at chasing things off objectives that are a bit light. You don't care too much if they die. And they're brilliant for sort of doing those objectives and scoring points. So we've got something that holds points and a couple of units to score points. I've also brought a Ballista's Dreadnought. That's not right. That's 130 points. I've missed that mistake. It's only 130 points. It's got a bit of anti-tank firepower. And with the Gladiator Lancer in tow, which is my second anti-tank squad, it's got just about enough firepower to knock out things like transports and things. So you've got a decent chance, especially with a grenade here and there and things like that, of knocking out a normal-sized tank, even in a 1,000-point game in a single round of shooting. And then the last thing I've got in there is a little scout squad. You forward deploying them, holding objectives, you let them die. When they die, you don't care. They're only 65 points.
Yeah, you pick them up, you bounce them around all game. Great.
Brilliant little unit. So that's kind of my starting point. And I feel that can pretty much, if you're playing against anybody else at 1,000 points, I think you've got enough tools in your toolbox to deal with that. It's not super meta or anything like that, but I think it's fairly strong. Now, stepping it up a little bit to 2,000 points. The first thing we do is we give our Chaplain and Terminator armor speed of the Primarch. We love speed of the Primarch. The threat of you charging that unit and then that unit killing you before you get to attack them is horrendous. You might also notice I've written Terminators at the bottom there because I've upped my Terminator squad to 10 man.
Oh, jeez.
So I've got 10 power fist armed angry Terminators that I can park in the middle of the board through a rapid ingress and say, come and have a go if you think you're hard enough.
What's the base size on a Terminator? Is it 40 mil these days?
40, yeah.
Jeez.
So that's a big fat blob that you just go. They'll murder anything they charge, and anything that charges there will probably get murdered too. So
yeah,
and I don't think that's an unreasonably expensive unit for that kind of horribleness.
I mean, it's the same price as the Sangre Guard, really.
Yeah, and I just think that they're really obnoxious. They're not going to be chasing anything off, but you don't really need them to because you just bang them in the middle of the board, and that's now yours. There's not many things that are going to get rid of them that quick either. We're not with a 4-up invuln save.
No, and doesn't the Chaplain give them a 4-up against mortals as well, or something like that? Yeah.
Yeah, so he's got defenses again. They're just horrible now.
Yeah, so
you can't charge them.
It's worth saying though the mortals. The Chaplain gives a 4-up against mortals, which also now protects against dev wounds as well.
Yeah,
because of the rules change.
I think that's a pretty obnoxious unit. It's slow, but it's very Space Hulk.
Yeah.
I do kind of want to run that. Just fight first Chaplain, drop it in the middle of the board, and yeah, like you said, deal with that if you can.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come and have a go.
Then, while they're having a go at that, I've brought Dante along. He's iconic, and I think he hits pretty hard. And I've brought 6 of his Sanguinary Guard friends along too.
Yeah.
6 Sanguinary Guard and Dante gives me a nasty counterpunch. You charge the Terminators, you get mauled, and then Dante charges you in the back as well.
Yeah.
For extra use of melee death, I brought Brutalis. I think they're a little bit overcosted, but I thought it'd be fun to bring a Dreadnought.
Yep.
You'll also note that I've added a second Gladiator Lancer. So now 2 Gladiator Lancers and a Ballista's Dreadnought, I think, will kill pretty much any kind of vehicle in the game in a round of shooting, except super heavies. I think is the only thing that might live through that.
I was going to say, yeah, maybe like a couple of knights might. You might do. You might still do like 15-20 damage to a knight, though. So you
depends on how they skew on their invuns, really. But,
so that's a pretty. That's going to do a lot of damage. I've got plenty of shooting to back that up now. I've got a decent amount of board control because I've also brought some incursors who in 9th edition, they were ubiquitous and we saw them everywhere. In 10th edition, we're not seeing them very often. I think their special rule is still quite good for 80 points.
Mm-hmm.
And they do give...
The plus one, the plus one to shoot, or something else.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
like,
with two
like
lancers, yeah, potentially.
So I think that's quite a useful little thing. They're not meta or anything else. If I was going to say which one's a better unit, infiltrators every time are a better unit. But for 80 points, I think they're quite handy to have. Also, because you can move them up the board quite quick, they can give some support to these scouts, and that gives you a little bit of early game board presence.
Yeah, I mean, they do. If they throw grenades when they charge, they could do 6 mortals fairly quickly because you can ping their mine off offensively now. You never used to be able to do that, right?
Yeah. So we're not really seeing them, but I'm not entirely sure why. I think it's because there's always probably a slightly better pick. If you want speed and that, you can take assault intercessor with jump packs. If you want cheap, you take scouts.
Yeah.
And they're 5 points more than a squad of assault intercessors. But
yeah, the only thing unique they do is the +1 to hit for shooting.
Yeah.
And shooting is not what Blood Angels are known for, really.
It's not, but +1 to shoot when you've got quite a lot of shots for some of these things can be quite a irritating thing to have.
Yeah, it's not nothing.
It's not nothing, and I think it might be worth a try. It's also a different sort of thing to see as well. So I've got plenty of shooting. I've got a little bit of early game board presence. I've got a few units that can do some objectives. I've got a couple of units to hold objectives, and I've got some melee punch. And that's kind of where I've gone. Now, I have costed this up, but it's going to be about 545 quid, I think.
Is that the entire thing, or just the additional?
That's the whole thing.
Okay.
So that's a 2,000 point army, 545 quid. Now, I've not done things like using the
affiliate link,
combat patrol. I've not
FLGS.
gone around looking for deals and that and stuff. Because you could use the combat patrol, you'd be wasting the captain, but you'd use everything else in there. That might save you a couple of quid.
Yeah.
You'd have to buy some jump packs to make your assault intercessors that way. So there are ways of bringing that cost down, but that is if you just went to the shop and bought everything in this list, that's how much it would cost you. Not that I'm recommending you ever did.
Cool.
So, what do we think?
I kind of like this one as well, honestly. I think you've got a good balance between fire support. You've got some very, very durable melee. I think the one question I've got is what's holding the backfield. I'm not sure I feel as safe about it as I did with Mark's list, but I mean, you will have 3 tanks there in the backfield. They all have long range, so you can do some screening with that. Maybe there's some armies that can do some shenanigans that get in on your backfield, but apart from that, I kind of like it.
I think if I bought one of the small shenanigan-y armies like Grey Knights, they're probably going to get in there. But the way I've sort of looked at that is, all right, I'm playing that army, and I've also drawn a mission because remember, it's not every mission. Some missions, it's really important to hold your backfield. Other missions, it doesn't really matter. So I'm in a mission where I have to hold my backfield, and I'm fighting someone who's good at shenanigans. All right, fine. Well, I'll put a unit of heavy intercessors on that backfield, a ballistas dreadnought, and 2 tanks, and they can all charge and they can all tank shock.
Yeah, so
and they're all pretty durable. Yeah, they can drop in, but if they want to drop in and try a 9-inch charge and then try and kill all of those heavy intercessors,
yeah, and I mean if you were specifically playing against Grey Knights, your army's actually pretty well poised with that 10-man squad that's going to ignore mortals because that's just going to be huge against them. Because a couple of
if you drop down and then fail that charge, I'm going to charge you with everything.
Yeah. No, I kind of like it. I think I'd play it. I think I win everything.
I'm not hyper competitive. I've not gone, this is a tournament list in any way, because it's really not.
No, it's got good variation of stuff.
The Brick of 10 Terminators used to be something that was never really considered seriously, but with the addition of the Speed of the Primarch enhancement to make them fight first, you definitely make a compelling case.
I just think
the chaplain is the ace in the hole there, right?
Yeah,
because I guess
without that chaplain, I wouldn't do it.
Yeah, because I think if you get charged by like Angron or something, normally you would only be wounding on 5s. So your fight first wouldn't be that impactful. But I think the chaplain making that 4s.
Or you get charged by an Eldar avatar that's suitably buffed up. You're wounding on 6s.
Yeah. So I think.
And that's a lot of attacks. That's 40 odd attacks from those Terminators with Power Fists.
Yeah, so you're talking somewhere in the region of 26 hits, and then even if you only roll half, so basically what Angron, I think you would do like somewhere in the region of like 13 damage statistically to Angron. I think
he's only got my at the moment target.
Yeah, and I think he's only got like 16 wounds, right? So like, yes, he'll kill a few Terminators, but that's Angron out of the fight in turn 1 if he charged you, or whenever he did charge. Like if you take 13 wounds from Angron, it's very easy to just throw a grenade at him and be like, F you, get out of here.
And with Termies these days having a 4-up Invan as well is great.
I think he'd struggle to kill them all off in a turn, even Angron.
No, he would kill like 3, maybe 4.
Yeah. So, and now he's in combat with this big old unit.
Yeah, he's done for it. He's done for it.
I'll get to fight first next time anyway.
Yeah.
So,
nice.
I'm going to come and have a go if I think hard enough, especially if I'm going to put my eye for the moment target on that avatar or whatever.
Oh, yeah, and shooting a unit of 10 Terminators with 2-up armor save and the ability to have...
put them in cover as well. So if you can get a guy or 2 in cover just to really annoy your opponent.
That was really good last edition, right? Like, because we used to have the Terminator that could stick in cover and then Armor of Contempt to ignore 2 AP. And when you're on a 2-up save and you're ignoring AP 2, there's not that many weapons that have, like... I mean, there's las cannons that are AP 3, but it's not like people have 10 las cannons. So when you get by las cannon, it's going to be like 2 shots, 3 shots. All right, so I've got to roll 3-up saves. It's really not the end of the world. Sometimes you can roll.
You put all your army into my unit, and you've killed a Terminator. Brilliant.
Well, exactly. And you've got your whole unit of Sangre Guard screened by a bodyguard of 10 Terminators. I mean, I've played players that have wrapped them around them, so you've got like your Sangre Guard in there, and there's like Terminators all the way around them. So there's literally no way you could charge those Sangre Guard. You have to get through the Terminators first. The Terminators will fight first, and it just. Then when it's your turn, you just mop everything up.
That's one of the reasons why I put the Plasma Inceptor in my list for the AP that they've got on the Plasma for that sort of purpose. You kind of need something with high AP just for this sort of situation these days.
I play Custodians as well, and I always tell people don't bother with high AP. Because a las cannon or anything with AP2 is just about as good. So you just want, if I'm building lists now, I'm looking for AP2 weapons because I do play into a lot of Custodians. And even on this list, you want AP2. AP3 is wasted. So you want as many AP2, and ideally you want AP2 damage 3 weapons, and that would chew through your Terminators. And that would chew through
why is AP3 wasted?
Because there are, all right, maybe it would ignore a bit of cover, but if you're shooting them in the open, that you put them on the, put them on their invuln anyway.
Oh, yeah, sure. What I'm saying is you want that AP there for if they do manage to get in cover and want to armor contempt and ignore 2 points of AP, then AP 3 and 4 is very useful.
It's just not readily available enough, though, right?
No, it's not.
I'm a bit. It's why I like the Predator, actually.
Hellblasters and stuff,
The Predator Destructor, I think, is a great unit because AP2, so putting these sorts of units on their invuln, 3 damage, kills 1 with each hit, kills 1 with a wound.
Yeah. No, the Predator Destructor is a great unit.
I think that's really efficient into...
Unfortunately, it's a firstborn tank.
Yeah. So, and as we said, we've tried to avoid taking firstborn stuff in this because we don't know how long it's going to stick around for. Because again,
we do not trust GW.
I think they're brilliant.
Not squat it in the next edition.
It's interesting to see that we managed to make 3 Blood Angels lists with no 4 firstborn stuff. That wouldn't have been heard of just a few years ago, and it's just kind of a sad day.
Well, I also think we've made 3 thematically Blood Angels lists as well.
Up until 10th edition hit, it was always been a case of, GW are probably going to get rid of firstborn at some point. When 10th had hit and they actually started doing it, it's suddenly come home to roost that now half your old armies are being squatted. This is a reality now. It's not just the theoretical.
It's not really even half anymore, is it? It's like 80% of your old army.
Yeah.
But we're moving on. There's some good things that are about at the moment. We can build nicely thematic lists using modern units now, which Which, to be fair, back in 9th, we couldn't do that. We didn't have these units in Primaris.
And also, GW have proven that by not just making new versions of things that don't look as good, aggressors, they've actually redone Terminators to be a bigger scale with better detailed models, and they're still Terminators. So, yeah cool.
They've done a really good job of that.
Reimagined.
Right, okay, so I think there are sort of 3 ways you could get started with Liberator Assault Group.
Thank you for knocking me off my soapbox there, Tony. Cheers.
Sorry?
Don't worry about it. Oh, I was ranting. It's fine. You stopped me.
Fair enough. Right. Palagori.
Yay!
You spelled it right.
I know I did. I thought it'd make Mark happy. Good grammar makes
people who
Mark
don't watch
happy.
this not going to understand what we're on about, but that's fine. If somebody's coming into this and this is their first time watching 3 Grots, then that'll be...
They'll have to go back and watch all the previous episodes. Then they'll find out.
What sort of good previous episodes have we done, John?
We've done a great one about introduction of Blood Angels.
We have. We're going to talk about that in a little bit. But first, it's Pile of Glory.
Okay.
The moment of suspense. Hey, it's my Dante.
Who's going first?
I'm working on him. I've been working on him for a while.
Which model is that head from?
It's a Bloodthirster.
That's a generic Bloodthirster head, is it? Okay.
Yes, Colin gave me it from his, I guess, Angron, maybe? Maybe it was an alternate. I think it was a Bloodthirster head. It came off a corn sprue anyway. So it's some sort of greater demon of corn. I just tried to make him a little bit more my own, I guess, with the demon head, and then he's actually got the Sanguine or Firstborn wings on him as well.
Yeah, I can see those wings. Very nice.
So I figured that I don't really care if it's model disadvantage. I just want him to look cooler. So he's got wings. He's shaping up pretty nice. I've got a lot. I've probably put like 5-6 hours into him, but I'll probably get the same again. But I think he'll be good when I'm done. So excellent. I've been working on him. I've been working on 2 Death Company with eviscerators. You can see them hiding in the background.
Do I see a drilled barrel on that?
It came with a drilled barrel.
Oh, okay.
I did not drill said barrel, but yeah, it came with one. I was thought someone might mention that.
I like the his red feet. He's sort of almost like he's wearing flip flops.
Yeah, I noticed that. I'm looking. That's a bit okay. Cool. Yeah, awesome.
I always rim the feet. I think it was more when they used to stand on the texture paint. It just broke the models up from the base. But oh well.
Yeah, cool.
I like it.
Thank you.
Well done, John. What's next? It's Smock.
Yeah. So the top picture is my firstborn Sanguinary Guard with the brand new grotty base extenders that Tony has whipped up and sent over, because there's no way I'm replacing them with new Sangard when I've got these old ones kicking around nice and lovely. So obviously I need to do a bit more work making the base look less, well, grotty at this point. But that was a nice thing to have done. Now they're on lovely 40mm size bases, and they're part of my 1,000-point half of the doubles army. I'm going to go to an event with Tony in about 3 weeks, which is the army in the lower picture, of which one model is basically finished, which is Mephiston at the back there, and the rest of it still needs a bunch of work done to it.
So is that all of the 1,000? That's the whole 1,000 points there?
That's 1,000 points, yeah.
That's crazy, actually.
Don't look like much, does it?
No.
It's really not much. But it'll hit hard. It'll really hit hard. And you can see I've put some Tyrannid stuff around the base of my Dante base where you've got your Bloodthirster head.
I was going to say, you've copied my idea.
I absolutely did not copy it. I think you'll find you copied mine. Thank you very much.
There we go. Yeah. Dante is a very nice model these days, I must admit.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that...
I really wanted some extra stuff on his base because I felt really off putting the bit of tactical rock that he stands on in the middle of the base, because he's jumping backwards off that. So it looks like the Dante model himself is like leaning off the back of the base. Yeah, exactly. So in order to center him, that left a whole load of empty base around the back of where the tactical rock wasn't, which is why I wanted to find something to put there. And I figured it's going to be Tyranids, because Devastation of Baal. Yeah, let's go with that.
Makes sense.
So if anybody's interested, that's the Grotty base extender. And it's a one-piece one, and it sort of opens up a little bit, so you can just clip it over the original base rather than having to like do any kind of finagling. And they are actually on our Discord. So if you go on the Blood Angels Discord, there's a link in the description. You can download them. They don't cost anything. And I just knocked that up on for the 3D printers.
And if you can't find the link, go on the Discord and PM one of the three of us. Probably not John, let's face it. And we'll be able to sort you out the link to it.
But yeah, they are on there. I made them for the community so that we could all extend our 32mm bases to 40mm and reuse our secondary guard rather than buy new ones.
Time on these things, and I realise I do give you a hard time on a lot of ways on these episodes, John. So I'd apologise, but I'm not really very sorry.
I'm just glad someone else put 40 like base extended their current Sangre Guard. I just felt like I had 30 Sangre Guard. I had lots of weapon options on them. I have God knows how much time and money spent in those. I did not feel happy just throwing all 30 in the bin to replace them.
No way at all. You'll also notice on the Sangard in the top left, one of them has got a slightly grey plastic barrel to his wrist gun, which used to be an Angelus bolt gun that I've chopped the barrel off of and I put a melter barrel on there instead, because that's going to be an Inferno pistol instead of what was
because you need one extra Inferno pistol. Yeah, makes sense.
And the other Inferno pistol is behind the banner, so you can't see it.
Yeah. No, that's clever.
So, nice. That's what I've been up to.
There you go.
Good luck in getting it all painted in 3 weeks.
It'll be battle ready at least one way or the other, because I wouldn't want to turn up and have Tony be ashamed of me.
Well, you haven't seen the next slide.
Okay.
So, here's my next slide. And that's all the infantry that I'm taking to, well, most of the infantry I'm taking. So that's not all of my 1,000 points, because there's 3 more Terminators that go with that, but they're already finished. And then there's 2 of these Vindicators that go in there as well, which is why it's on my desk and why I'm making little base. I've been a busy boy with the old Fusion 360 and the modelling, but I've made little bases to put my Vindicators on.
Why are those incursors yellow?
Sorry?
Why are the incursors yellow?
When? They're not incursors, they're infiltrators. That's the important takeaway from that.
Right. Okay. Sorry, I'm mixing lists up here. Sorry, my apologies. Why are the infiltrators yellow?
My infiltrators are yellow, and they need finishing. This is one of the things that I'm trying to get finished for the tournament. I've had to convert up my company veterans in the back there. So that's a mixture of sort of like really old stuff. There's some pretty rare models.
See that banner guy in the back? Yeah, absolutely.
He was a special miniature that came out only in 1999 as part of the Skulls program, and the base is metal.
Oh, okay.
And it's the only model I've ever seen with a fully metal base. But he's so tiny compared to the other ones that I've actually had to build him like a plinth to stand on.
Yeah.
So it's got like a 3D printed plinth that the base mounts into.
Excellent. Like you get on
to make him even closer to the same height as the others.
Things, yeah.
But anyway, so why have I got yellow? They're not yellow. They are actually just camo pattern. They're a desert camo pattern.
Okay.
Which took ages.
Okay. Cool.
Back in Rogue Trader, when Space Marines were a little bit more soldiery and a little bit less superhuman-y, so they used to have things like Space Marine police forces and things like that. There was some art done for Blood Angels desert pattern camo, because back then you would have camo for your armies based on what planet they were fighting on.
All right.
So I thought it'd be really fun to resurrect this kind of Rogue Trader like backstory thing and saying, do you know what, fuck it, my infiltrators, the sneaky boys, in fact some of my eliminators for that, and my scouts are actually in desert camo to go with the desert bases that they have.
Nice.
So they do still have the Blood Angels iconography in that, but they are in camouflage as is lore accurate for Blood Angels. Blood Angels use camouflage. They did it. It's in the book. I've got evidence.
I can think of another heavily armoured army that went into a place and didn't use camo and got beaten up by an army of Ewoks.
Yes, this is true.
They weren't wearing camo, were they?
I was going to say, occasionally on Reddit, the desert camo pattern surfaces. Someone that knows the lore as well as you, Tony, will occasionally make these sort of things on Reddit. So,
yeah, I don't think I'm the only. I won't be the first person who's had this idea. Believe me. But there was also some pictures. If you look at they used to do it at the colour plates and that for tanks and stuff. And there's Land Raiders in this desert camo pattern for Blood Angels.
Awesome.
And I think it was an idea that they never really went anywhere. I think there's a little bit. I think there's one picture. I think in the second edition codex from this desert pattern camo, and then we've never seen it again. But we have now.
Excellent.
Unless you poke around and see somebody else do it.
Cool.
I love your company.
That's where I've got to. I've got a shit lot of work to do.
I was going to say, your company hero's got 2 Primaris models and then 3 teeny tiny firstborn models just to keep the squad.
So I've got, in addition to my very old special banner bearer, I've got the Primaris Champion limited edition model they did. You know, the one that was Legends when he came out?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, he was Legends when he came out.
I've got the Primaris Lieutenant. He's not going to live on this. That's just a painting handle that I've got him on at the moment.
Yeah.
He's got normal base.
But you're using that as a captain, are you?
Yeah. I've got now this is the hybrid metal plastic. So the Mark II Devastator. So Mark I had the shoulder mounted gun. This was one that come after it. So this is the one with the metal backpack and the metal gun. That was a nightmare to bloody drill out. I forgot just how hard these were because I haven't done one for a while. So he's a proper veteran as well.
Yep.
And then that's a minorly converted firstborn Marine with the kind of Terminator honors and the fancy bolt gun out of the old command squad box.
Excellent.
I actually also got an apothecary for the squad, but obviously you can't put an apothecary in the squad anymore, so I've got the old metal apothecary.
Which is a shame. They should have apothecaries in there, but
I feel like it should. I think it should have the apothecary over, to be honest, maybe this basic guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, he's obviously just a basic guy. Why shouldn't he be an apothecary?
He's just a basic guy with a
in the command
Mastercraft bolter.
Maybe
they don't call them a command squad now, do they? They call them company heroes.
Company heroes. So, but it is what it is. So I wanted to try and put a unit together that was a bit of a greatest hits of cool old weird models or models that I've never used, or this lieutenant, because let's be honest, nobody uses a lieutenant.
That's true.
And I really like the model. I've never really found a reason to paint him and use him.
I was thinking the other captain you could have had in there instead would be the one with the power fist up like this and the gun going out like that. And that would have been another cool
one. Full disclosure, I absolutely intended to do that, and I might yet do it because I've got that model was a special games. I don't have the Primaris one, but I do have the Games Day special edition one that I bought from Games Day many years ago. But he was a bit of a wreck because he's resin.
Yeah,
and it was that early fine cast. It was bubbly as hell.
I have one of those I got off
eBay.
I do occasionally look for the Primaris version of that, and I can never find him for anything resembling a reasonable price on eBay. So
and I don't have the Primaris, but I do have the special limited edition original version.
Yeah.
The Primaris one had a plasma pistol, though, rather than the bolter, right?
Yeah, he did. But
so that's the captain I have, then. I actually queued out against Workshop to get that one.
Yeah,
I'd love to get hold of one of them one of these days.
They're pretty rare.
Yeah.
I've got the really super rare firstborn version that is the one in the picture.
Yeah.
But he needs a bit of work doing to him, and we're up against it for time a little bit. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to get him done in time to take him. Because I've basically got to re-sculpt some details because of where the fine cast was bubbled and ruined the detail. Which is a bit sad. So yeah, that's what I've been working on. I've done a couple of other things as well. I made some Battle Fleet Gothic models, and I got those painted before we started doing this. My Strauss is nearly done. Well, I'll say that. My Strauss is nearly blocked in, and then he'll need detailing. As is my Ziphon that Mark kind of gave me. But I've had to put all of those things aside to try and get this list done for the next 2 weeks.
3 weeks.
3 weeks. I've also CAD designed a movement tray carry case for these guys as well.
Awesome.
Which is why the Vindicators are going on a basis, so they'll slot into that.
Yeah, it'd be great to have a nice 3 weeks to work on all of this. Shame we've got busy set of weekends coming up between now and then.
Yeah, I've got no time to do this. Anyway, so that's where I'm at. That's what I've been doing. It's been a busy time.
Aye.
I think that's it. So, what video should they watch now?
That's been the most traditional Three Grots episode that we've filmed in quite some time, really, isn't it?
It has. It's been strange for us. We almost stayed on topic for most of it as well.
Yeah.
And we only talked over each other a little bit.
Once or twice.
We didn't talk over each other once, so we're good for that one guy that commented on us.
Oh, we did. We really did.
Anyway, what video should people watch, John?
I was going to say this would be a good time to watch the introduction to Blood Angels video, because it covers all the
lore and history.
All the lore and history and all the stuff that we didn't touch on in this video, because otherwise this video would have been another hour longer.
Non-mechanics based, just cool stuff about the Blood Angels and why they're awesome and why we think they're awesome.
That was another fun one to film. I enjoyed making that video.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's in that box. I don't know where the box is going to appear on the screen.
Right
there, or there.
Yeah. If it's like
that video
completely random over there and doesn't fit inside the neat little box,
it's here.
He's put in the neat little box.
So you point the bottom left, Mark, and you point this way, and then
I've got. Yeah,
perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. So watch that one next. If you enjoyed this one, it's a little bit more lore focused, and we will catch you on the next one.
If you've got any comments or questions, leave them down below. We'll do best to answer.
And remember,
the next one might be John on his own, as Tony and I are like doing last minute tournament prep and painting and can't spare any time to film the next episode. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it in 2 weeks' time.
Maybe the next one will be a painting stream. We'll catch you guys next time.
Well,
we might need a painting
stream.
Yeah, that's true. Cheers, guys. Thanks a lot.
Catch you on the next one.
Bye-bye.